Researching State Statutes, the Advanced Legal Research course at Boston College Law School. Researching the laws of a single state are very similar to researching federal statutes. State statutes are published the same way as federal statutes, first in slip law form, then chronologically as session laws, and then incorporated into a subject arrangement as a code. Codes can be official, that is either published by the state itself or published under contract with the state, or unofficial, created by a commercial publisher for the purpose of making a profit. And codes can be annotated or unannotated. When dealing with the laws of one state, we'll usually want to start with a secondary source for that state or the index to that state's code. But when dealing with the laws of all 50 states, there are much more efficient ways to structure our research than to search each state individually. Not only may lawmakers from different states choose different language to regulate the same thing, there are variations in names and numbering systems of state statutes. For example, Massachusetts calls its session laws the Acts and Resolves, and its code is the General Laws. Both the Acts and Resolves and the General Laws use the chapter as the major subdivision. California, on the other hand, has a nominative code, identifying each major subdivision by name rather than number. So instead of being divided into titles like the federal code or chapters like Massachusetts, there are 29 separate codes, and there are statutes involving healthcare, for example, in the California Health and Safety Code, the California Business and Professions Code, the California Penal Code, the California Insurance Code, the California Labor Code, the California Welfare and Institutions Code, the California Probate Code, and possibly others. One way states sometimes work together to minimize conflicts between state laws is through uniform laws. Uniform laws are really model state statutes, which individual states are free to adopt in their entirety, in part, or not at all. States that have adopted the uniform law, or parts of it, often look to interpretations of that statute from other states that have adopted the same law. The publication that sets out uniform laws, which states have adopted them, and case notes interpreting them is a Thomson Reuters publication called Uniform Laws Annotated, which is available on Westlaw. We can find it at the bottom of the Tools and Resources link from the Statutes and Court Rules page, or just start to type Uniform Laws Annotated into the search box and select it from the pull-down menu. From the ULA screen, we can search all the uniform laws or select the one we are interested in. The Uniform Acts appear online in the same order they appear in the bound volumes. The uniform laws on healthcare are somewhere in the middle of the page, since they appear in the volumes that contain matrimonial, family, and health laws, which is sort of in the middle of the set. Let's take a look at the Uniform Healthcare Decisions Act as an example. We see the table of contents for this act. Well, we can run a search from the screen. If we select the top line, References and Annotations, we can first look at the editor's notes. Editor's notes begin with a table of jurisdictions that have enacted this act, along with citations to where the act can be found in the individual state codes. Further down the page is a prefatory note that explains the primary purpose of this act. The individual sections of the Uniform Act have the same types of research references as any code on Westlaw, except that notes of decisions can be to cases in any state adopting the uniform law. Another way to get access to many state statutes at once is through a 50-state survey. Westlaw has a collection of 50-state statutory surveys in its secondary sources collection. Westlaw's 50-state surveys are grouped by major practice areas. Here are some of the headings in the healthcare practice area. Let's look at the survey on telemedicine, which was under the heading Healthcare Facilities. It begins with a general discussion of the topic. It also clearly tells us when this survey was last updated. Further down the page is a chart that tells us state by state, relevant law, and answers to specific questions. One of the very nice things about 50-state surveys is they let us know when there isn't a statute on point in a particular jurisdiction. This is helpful because it is harder to tell whether we didn't find anything because it isn't there or because we just didn't look for it correctly. Lexis also has a substantial number of 50-state surveys. Lexis includes 50-state regulatory surveys in the same database. From the search screen, we can browse or search the table of contents or search the full text of all or part of this database. Let's look at the survey on informed consent under the header Medical Treatment in the Healthcare Law Surveys. The survey begins with an overview of federal and state law on this topic. It also clearly states when it was last updated. The state by table that summarizes content and links to relevant code sections is a little awkward to use online, but we can download the entire table as an Excel worksheet for easier manipulation. Bloomberg Law also has its own version of 50 state surveys called State Law Chart Builders. They are linked on the law school homepage under Popular Links Law School Resources, but they can also be found on the Practitioner Tools page. Bloomberg Law Chart Builders are available on a number of topics, including banking and consumer finance, bankruptcy, blue sky securities, corporate, data security and privacy, healthcare, intellectual property, labor and employment, and tax. Let's look at the chart builder on anti-kickback laws in healthcare. With chart builders, we can choose the jurisdictions and topics we wish to compare, selecting all or individual states and topics. We can also choose whether we want jurisdictions or topics to be the column headers. Bloomberg Law generates a chart with just the information we want, which, like the other state surveys, includes summaries as well as citations. Another source that sometimes proves helpful when looking for laws from many states is the subject compilations of state laws available through Hein Online. We can search the database by titles or subjects. For the most comprehensive results, use a keyword search, or we may want to browse the subjects used in this index. Let's link to the subject Healthcare Power of Attorney. This gets us 71 results. They can be law review articles, books, or even one of the 50 state surveys we saw on Lexis and Wells Law. If the book or article is available on Hein Online or the free web, as the second entry is on Hein Online, there's a link directly to that item on Hein Online. Another useful source available on Hein Online is the National Survey of State Laws. This work helps users make quick state-by-state comparisons of current state laws for a range of relevant subjects. For example, this survey on right to die, durable power of attorney is one of 3 on right to die subtopics. It also includes links to related headings in the subject compilation of state laws, like the one on healthcare power of attorney we were just looking at.